I don't even know what episode this is of the Posket podcast, but there's been a massive break, and part of the reason for that massive break is I've just been so busy with everything. It's been crazy. But I was back in the UK and I was touching base with Mikey Lonsdale. Mikey, welcome to the Posket podcast.
Yeah, thanks for having me on the show, Linda.
And
happy to be here.
Yeah, some of you fans and followers will know who Mikey is. Some of you won't. So.
Alright, we're just on course now from Helmsley Town Centre up to the race village. We're here at Helmsley for round 3 and 4 of the British Enduro Championship. We're going to see some top riders today again, such as Rob Johnson, Jack Rowland, Tom Cigar's even going to be here, Johnny Walker and Graham Jarvis. Oh, here he is, the Lord Mayor Burton Leonard. Here he comes, he's on it, come on! So what I've done is I took my pocket money from my mum this weekend and I nipped down to the local charity shop and bought myself a Christian Dior Monsieur.
We're going to take you on a story that some of you, well, all of you will definitely not know. So get ready for this. This is Mikey Lonsdale, editor of Races to Places. Probably, I would say, 75% of all Races to Places stuff has been edited by you, Mikey.
Yeah, I'm happy to do it. It's something I've loved. I've enjoyed it. It's been a good journey.
Good. So, really, on this show, we're quite fortunate to have Mikey on, and it's going to be quite a personal podcast because you're going to share with us some parts.
You wanted a bit of background.
Parts of your life over the past few years that a lot of people won't know about, and things that we've gone through together, you've gone through while I've been travelling. It's really interesting, and it just kind of shares with people what things can happen in life, and so we're going to be really honest about stuff. Mikey's agreed to open up and share some stuff, and I hope you really enjoy it. But we're just going to start by kicking off from the beginning, when I met Mikey. So I think I first met you, Mikey. I was introduced to you by Dave Lomax at Adventure Spec.
Yeah, that's right.
You were doing some video editing for them. I had decided to do Dakar Rally in 2013, so it's 10 years ago, 2012.
I was 28 then.
10 years ago we met, and we were shooting like a promotional video for my Dakar 2013. One of the best bits from that is that massive wheelie. Do you remember that wheelie?
Yeah, that was a hell of a wheelie.
I did one of the best wheelies, I think, of my career. I've got to find it.
I remember Lyndon said, just see if I can pull this off. I might get a bit wobbly, and it was probably the best wheelie I've ever seen in my life.
It was like as far as you could see in the camera lens, all the way towards. We've got to find it.
Gears, weren't you?
Got to find it and get it in. Yeah, standing up, hooking through the gears. It was a great wheelie.
Yeah.
We did that promotional video for Dakar 2013. But Mikey, what was you doing then before editing and for Adventure Spec, and also for me? Like, what were you doing then?
Through my 20s, I had various different jobs. So I'd be working on building sites, labouring. I've always loved that. You know, you get the banter, just mixing with the lads.
Yeah.
Doing that, I worked for Massam Sausages for a while.
Sausage factory?
Yeah, I was in a Sprinter van delivering sausages around.
Is that how you got into sausage dogs as well?
Yeah, I think so.
Mikey likes his sausage dogs.
Yeah, that was a hell of a job. It was just delivering sausages all around Yorkshire and Bedale, Settle. Really good job in the summer. That stop at every ice cream spot on the way, and then I enjoyed making videos. So it was my younger brother. He was a really talented editor. He still is. He used to film a lot of skate videos, and I said, "Oh, show me how to work the program. I want to learn." So he sort of showed me the basics, and then from there, I just watched a lot of YouTube tutorials, got books from the library.
Yeah.
Literally just spent a lot of time reading, learning. And then it was Graham Jarvis, through a friend of mine. He said he wants to make Spanish, I think it's Spanish winter training.
I remember that video.
So you remember winter training? So he said, do you want to come out and film on the Jarvis's training ground? And I said, yeah. So I borrowed a camera off this guy and turned up, and I didn't really know what I was doing, to be honest. I just had a bit of a go at it and put it together. I mean, it was Jarvis's riding, but it got serious views. And I thought, you know what, I really enjoyed this. It was something that I thought I'd love to, make it a job, make it something that I can make a living out of. So from there, I kept learning how to do a better job, learning more skills, tips. And
so you're self-taught then?
Yeah, fully self-taught. And then obviously Adventure Spec, through doing the bits and pieces for Jarvis, then said, do you want to come and work full time? We've got something coming up with a guy called Lyndon.
So we'll just pause there and I'll explain that. So I finished Dakar 2013, and after 2013, I didn't make a video or anything about Dakar. Had an amazing time, finished successfully, went back to work, and then was training for Red Bull Romaniacs. Had an accident running a marathon, which a lot of you probably know about from other podcasts or videos, not videos or anything, but basically check out the Forgotten Dakar Rally, Malimoto, the Forgotten Dakar story video. I'll put a link in the top corner so you can get that, because in there it explains what happens when I was running the marathon. But I nearly died, basically. Ended up quitting my job and leaving work and going travelling on a motorcycle. And a culmination of discussions with various people, predominantly the guys at Adventure Spec, because I was working closely with them at the time. We decided to make a video series about me riding around the world, and because Adventure Spec were working with you, Mikey, you got the job of editing it, and it was a full-time job.
It was, it was. I was really grateful to the guys at Adventure Spec, fantastic people, and they gave me that base. They said, look, come work with us, you can keep learning about video editing. And then they spoke about this guy I didn't know, Lyndon at the time, said he's a talented rider and he's going to be doing this fantastic project. And for me it was just a dream come true. I was like, wow, I can, as much as I loved the building sites and delivering sausages and various other jobs, I thought this is going to be great. I can just do this as a full-time occupation. So really grateful for that opportunity.
And with me as well on Races to Places, like if it wasn't for Adventure Spec and Chris and Dave back at the time, then like Races to Places wouldn't have evolved to what it was. It would have still happened, but they really did help.
It gave it a fantastic base, didn't it? Really, start things up.
So let's just talk a little bit about Adventure Spec, because I call it Adventure Spec Towers. But the head office of Adventure Spec really was for the first few years of Races to Places, really. I mean, they built a studio, sound studio, recording studio, editing suite. Like, they really put everything
put a lot of time in
not just this project, but into their product as well, and stuff like that. But I remember I would come back and see you in the editing suite, and we would film some cool stuff.
I always remember the intros. I think I like to have a laugh with editing. Yeah, I can do the serious stuff, but I always like to find something funny. So I like them intros. I'd think of something funny, write out a little script and think, right, we're going to have Lyndon working in a sandwich shop today. Or
there you go. So a lot of that stuff that was filmed, and we should share some of it, because there's the sandwich shop, there's the Lyndon, the VR4000, there's the VR4000 or whatever it is,
the fake party,
the virtual reality. There's the fake party. Let's get some of that in the podcast. Some of that. Right, Mike, you ready for today's episode?
Yeah, well, the weather's absolutely blazing out there. I've put the bike out the back so we can get cracking whenever you're ready.
Let's do it.
That's good. I'll switch it on now.
You guys doing another episode?
Yeah, we're just on with it now, Dave.
You're not going to get away with this forever, you know. At some point, someone's going to figure out this isn't real. Time for a sexy party.
important message.
Dave Lomax.
No one is available to take your call. Please leave a message.
Please leave your message after the tone.
Dave, it's Lyndon. I've been trying to get hold of you for like the last 2 hours. We really need to sort I've got the address for you for this.
They were just intros to new seasons. We're celebrating doing a new season. It just so happened that I was back in the UK and we would get on the phone, hey, let's film a little intro. Sometimes it took a whole day to film like a tiny little intro for a
They were worth it.
They were worth it though, and we had a lot of fun doing that with Dave and stuff. It was good times.
I was going to say it was. Yeah, they're just good people. It was a lovely. I moved over to Hebden Bridge, and I'd never experienced anything like Hebden before. A completely different way of life.
Yeah.
So enjoyed my time there.
So you were living in Hebden Bridge,
yeah,
and working in Mytholm Moyd at Adventure Spec, and I was out travelling around the world. So let's just talk about the process that went down, because people. I think they get a good understanding that I travel on my own. I don't typically, most of the time I travel on my own. I don't travel with anyone else. I self-film everything. That'll become really apparent in the Iceland episodes also. We've actually put some features in that about filming and fetching cameras and stuff like that. It's a lot of work. But I'm out there filming, riding around the world, making the fun stuff to show to the YouTube channel and the socials, and show everyone around the world where I am, what I'm doing on my motorcycle. And then let's talk a bit about how it works. So I actually never saw you hardly. Literally never saw you. I would be out travelling. I would every few days I would download all the footage from my various cameras. Maybe I had like 6 or 8 cameras. I remember loads of GoPros, helmet camera.
Basil bike charging them all.
Yeah, to the latter days I had the drone as well. Then I would download all the footage. I would categorise it all into days. That's how we chose to do it.
You're really. There's one thing that's good with Lyndon is it's mega organised. So you know what's coming.
Super organised.
Yeah, I like that.
So I would put it in days. So it'd just be date order, and then in the day I would write something where I went from and to, what I did or something. But I would just throw everything in that folder from that day, and sometimes there was like a few files, sometimes there was 200 files. I mean, a lot. And really, the episodes just evolved from what I filmed. There was no planning. We didn't plan anything. We didn't plan to film anything. We didn't plan to go anywhere other than the races. I just filmed as much as possible. Loads of cutaways, B-roll, shots from different angles and stuff. And then Mikey just took it and pieced it together into a masterpiece. And I always people. Yes, I did some editing on my own on my trip, but not much. Like small things for social media, that was it. And I'm no editor, guys. Like I'm not that person. But Mikey was that person. So talk through a little bit about so what I did is I used to DHL the data cards. I remember I used to tape them onto a piece of cardboard. We must have a picture of that somewhere. I bet I do. I'll send you a picture. I used to tape them onto a piece of cardboard, and I used to write how many files are on the card and the amount of data, so that when you downloaded it, you knew if it had got it all. Otherwise, you had a big chunk missing. And
it was the system worked, didn't it?
And a lot of people used to say to me, oh, why don't you save it on the cloud? You know, it's impossible. Like, all I had is mobile data, and we're talking about gigabytes and gigabytes of stuff, and it just wasn't possible. So what we used to do is download it onto my laptop, save it all on my laptop, put them all on data cards, whatever data cards I had. I used to buy 32 gig cards. It was at the time. That was like the biggest one.
You had a couple of 64s.
Did I? Get some 64s. And then I would send like 5 or 6. As soon as I got to a big city, like if I was travelling across Russia and stuff, I got to Mongolia, Ulaanbaatar, I would go to DHL and I would DHL this package back, and I wouldn't delete it off my laptop until you got it and told me it's backed up, it's on that drive and it's backed up here, you can delete it now. And then I'd delete it, because at the time I only had a computer with 512 gigabytes on it, something. It wasn't very big. Now I've got
orange hard drive.
I've got like 4 terabytes on the laptop that I carry everywhere with me because of videoing. But I would send those drives back. You received a piece of card from Lyndon saying, here's your cards for... What was the process from then?
So then I'd just download them to the computer, and I've got a really old Mac, and I don't want to get rid of it, do I? I've upgraded it a lot. It's an old 2008 Mac Pro, and I give it a pat all the time like a pet.
It's actually older than the time we've known each other.
It's old, but I give it a pat. I'm really sentimental about it. So I download it to that. And then I'd just start sifting through, thinking, seeing where you'd been, what had gone on. And I think one of the beauties of Races to Places is I don't do any corporate editing anymore. I don't do anything.
Yeah.
I started out trying to go into that department, do business work and stuff like that. And I think the thing I love with Races to Places is you sift through, you see the story, and I get to tell it kind of my way as well, don't know, which is really great.
Yeah.
I never get Lyndon on the phone saying, do it this way, do it that way. He just says, tell the story how you feel it needs to be told. And I think that's one of the best ways you can
We've really worked well together.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, even
hopefully
now...
I'll see it through the way you want it to.
Yeah, even now after 10 years, you know, I just filmed Iceland. Mikey's editing Iceland now. And what I film is usually what I want to share.
Yeah.
And if there's something in there that you think, I don't think that's right to put in, you won't put it in.
Yeah.
And if there's something that you're like, we could do it this way, you just do it. You never asked me. You just did it. And I used to watch the episodes and be like, it's great. Sometimes I would say, hey, what about that bit? I filmed a bit, and you're like, yeah, it didn't really fit. So, but most of the time, it's just perfect. Like, you just get it. And, you know, you touched then on like getting some corporate work and stuff. And I think this is like really important for people listening as well. Like, we often too much in life chase after something that we don't really want because of pressure from other people, like the neighbours having better things or people having better jobs, when really your love was just editing this footage from a guy riding on a motorcycle.
I think I've done a couple of big jobs down in London that were really big pay.
Yeah.
And do you know what? There were nothing but stress, you know, to organise with the cameramen. And so now, you know, I think the beauty is so simple. And we always speak, we've been for a 10k run this morning around the village.
I know,
fantastic.
Dragged me out for a run this morning. To be fair, it wasn't 10k, we cut it short at 9 because I had to go to the bathroom.
But I think, the simple things in life, and I think just sitting at the computer, going through all of these great files and seeing the journey, seeing the people Lyndon's met, it did feel like I was there for the journey. So what I would do is get them all onto the computer, then I'd write a voiceover, so I'd script through, and I think we've had Dave doing voiceover, your dad's done some, you're now doing it, I did some, so I'd write the voiceovers to what I thought, the bits that Lyndon hadn't told, so I'd maybe do some research, say if he was in Ulaanbaatar or somewhere, I'd research that area. And this is one cool thing, at school in geography, it was the worst mark I got in GCSE. And I'd say if I went back now and resat it, I'd get an A because Races to Places has taught me geography. So I get the voiceover wrote, get all that together, then I'll bring all the videos into the editing program, and then I just start, sort of lay the voiceover out, so I've got a rough guide, get all the intros and outros, and then I just tell the story. Just find
what program did you use? Because I know we're going to get asked that.
Just Final Cut Pro. I can work on Premiere. I learned Premiere, but I didn't like it. I just preferred Final Cut Pro. And then used After Effects if we had to make any graphics or titles. And I just that's what I've always used. It works. Just does the job. And I think I spent a lot of time. I lived over in Rochdale. I dated a girl over there. So I got to work with some really cool gigs actually. Got to go down into Portugal filming some supercars all over the place. And I worked with people that were very particular about editing programs and funny things. And I think at the end of the day, if it just lets you tell the story, that's all that really matters in my opinion.
And I can relate to that from a filming point of view, because there's always pressure from, not often, but there's pressure from other places, other people to do better. You know, why don't you do it in 4K? Why don't you get this? Why don't you have stabilization? Why don't you have this drone? Why don't you high speed this? And honestly, I genuinely feel like now I just went to Iceland and I took less camera equipment than ever on any of my trips, because I realised that it doesn't really matter about the quality.
Well, I think these episodes are pretty good.
As long as you're telling the story the way you want to tell it. Yeah. I mean, people don't want blurry pictures, so you want to make sure it's in focus, you want to make sure you've got a good quality, but let's face it, 1080 is good enough for everything, it's manageable size, we're filming that all the time, and it's been great, and there's no pressure to do it perfect. Like, you know, even stuff like drones crashing and stuff, film it, get it in. That's all funny stuff. Like, it happens. It's reality. So yeah, we've just won it.
For me, it's this. Yeah, I've been down the route of thinking I need the best cameras, I need all of this stuff, and I've got rid of it all. I love my, like I said, my Mac. It sits there proud, but I think it's for me, it's the telling of the story that is the key part.
Well, I openly say to people, but Iceland, guys, I just filmed the whole of Iceland. Apart from my action camera on my helmet and bike and the drone, the whole of Iceland was filmed using my iPhone.
It's good stuff as well.
iPhone. Like, it's so easy. Why carry a big camera and microphones and everything? I used my iPhone with a Rode Go wireless mic. That's it. And it was so easy.
I tell you what, I'm impressed with this, the little wireless mic for your camera.
Yeah, no, they're really good.
Yeah.
So, that all sounds great.
Yeah, so that's how it happened.
So, but we got...
Is that us done now?
No. We're just getting started, guys. We're just getting started. The story hasn't begun yet. Now it gets interesting. So, a few seasons in, I don't even remember where it was. Quite a few seasons in. I think probably 6 or something like that. We're right into it. Races to Places going well. Mikey's got a job editing. We're doing loads of promotional stuff with Adventure Space. Everyone's happy game. Then all of a sudden, Mikey's editing starts to slow down. So the edits should come every week or 2 weeks, can't remember, and they don't come, and they get delayed, and things got a bit challenging, got a bit stressful, and then Mikey goes AWOL, nobody knows where he is, nothing happened. What was going on?
It's just a crazy time in my life, I guess. The story was I had a bad drug addiction, so it's not something that... There was one time when I was really ashamed of the whole thing, where it just doesn't have any leverage over me anymore. I think you learn the tools to get... I'm still not perfect, I'm not going to lie, you know, there's still been problems, but you learn a lot of the guilt-fueled addiction, and when I didn't really understand what was going on, the early days were a lot of fun. So I can remember the first time I met a girl in Hampton Bridge, and she gave me some MDMA, and I had it, and I thought, I couldn't believe how something so small could change the way that you felt. And, you know, I thought, this is fantastic, I feel connected to life. You know, it was a good feeling at the time, not going to lie. You know, there's a lot of people will be ashamed, say, oh God, every drug I touched was bad. But from that point, I thought, do you know what, I've opened Pandora's box. I knew it was going to be a problem. I knew that this chemical was going to cause me issues, and I didn't realise the other chemicals that would come after that. So I just tried to sort of manage it in the early days. I didn't really tell anyone, but obviously, like Lyndon says, I'd go AWOL for days, and in the early days, nothing bad really happened, apart from I'd go roaming the moors around Hampton Bridge with my headphones on for days on end with a bottle of whiskey and a load of pills, and just... You know, like I said, it didn't sound great, but I genuinely enjoyed them times. It was an experience, and
But where, you know, I kind of laugh about it, but it was really serious. And like I lost my key editor, and friend as well. You know, you were a friend to a lot of people that were worried about you, and you had this addiction, and I didn't even know about it. And, you know, the classic signs of asking for money up front, but not delivering any product. I look back now and I'm just like, of course, I didn't see it. So now when he asks me for some money, I'm like, no, what's it for? And he's like, no, straight up. But no, I mean, you've opened up about that. It was a difficult time. We're not going to go into massive detail about everything that happened, but basically, you got through it. That first step, and you came back and you started editing again, which was you know, you had wobbles, and then you had another wobble, and then we got back on track and we got doing some more editing. Middle of Races to Places, and we got back on it. We smashed a lot of stuff out. I'm going to rush ahead to like Dakar 2018 because I planned to do the daily video series for Dakar 2018, and the original plan was to take you. So we had a plan to take Mikey to film Dakar 2018, do the daily episodes. If you haven't seen it, go and check it out. I'll put a link in the top corner.
Good, Dario did a good job.
Daily episodes from Dakar 2013. But Dario, my editor, came in because it was like 3 weeks or something before Dakar. Everything was planned, everything was booked, everything.
Yeah.
And then Mikey goes quiet. Yeah. And then I eventually get hold of him and he said, I can't do it.
Yeah.
Or I don't want to do it. Or it wasn't the right time to do it.
I just knew I couldn't. I just thought I could let you down at the last minute.
Right.
So I thought I better be honest.
You were honest, you told me, and it was a massive blow for me. Yeah. I was like gutted. Everything was planned. I'd organised it all with the ASO, the organisation of the Dakar, to have you there filming and everything. And then all of a sudden, my editor that I knew and trusted so much in terms of content and what he could do and his natural ability to make these awesome videos, I knew we could turn whatever I edited into cool stuff. I lost him.
Yeah.
And that was probably one of the most stressful weeks of my whole Races to Places, because all of a sudden I had to find an editor, and all of a sudden I didn't have one.
Yeah.
And I remember I asked loads of people in industry and everything, and then it all just led towards one guy that somebody knew that did some daily edits once, and it was a really good job for this, and somebody else knew him, and it was Dario.
Yeah,
and
he's a good
I
guy.
got hold of Dario. Dario became a big part of. I don't know if I've had him on the podcast. Maybe need to get Dario on the podcast as well. Yeah, I'll get Dario on as well. But we got Dario, signed him up. Not really seen any of his work, but I just got a feeling that he was the one, and he had a real desire to do it. He really wanted to be there doing it. So. Got Dario and did Dakar 2018 with Dario. Did Dario, it was great. Did Dakar with Dario, it was great. Made an excellent feature. But honestly, in the background, there was always this, still got Races to Places, episodes to release, and that wasn't Dario. Dario was the same day edit, banging stuff out. Filming it and releasing it the same day. We had this great thing where you get the footage and in your own time you edit the episodes. So I still needed to get the episodes edited, and we tried different editors. I remember I remember two people that came in to do editing with Adventure Spec and myself, and trying to sort of fill the gap of Mikey Lonsdale.
I guess we had a good connection as well, didn't we? It wasn't just the.
And honestly, it never worked. It never was the same. You know, they did good work. There's nothing wrong with them as individuals and delivering, but it was never the same. It didn't have the same feeling to it. Didn't have the same high intensity when it needed to be, and then sad and slow when it needed to be. It wasn't exactly as you did it. And I do feel proud about them. I think I give it my all. I don't ever cut corners. Even if it takes all day and all night, I'll sit and make it work. And I think. I like that put the emotion in it. Yeah,
I think
that's
one thing I'm proud of.
And for me, it made me realise that I need Mikey. You know, like Mikey is the one that makes this whole series. You know, like he's helped to piece together the story of Lyndon Poskitt riding his motorcycle around the world, and it's important to have him as part of it. But there was no getting away that you had the addiction, and I
started dating a girl as well in Rochdale that was an escort, so I lived, it was quite a crazy time. She lived in quite a cool mansion that was split up into flats, but she enjoyed a drink as well, so, you know, you'd have bouncy castles in the garden some days, and, you know, it was crazy. Water slides down the garden, and that's when I was disappeared for quite a while, didn't I? I just
so we had,
went off the...
I think at one point, we had 6 months where there was nothing, and we released episodes that we had in the bag, but we weren't building more content
as well,
and we were running out of time, and some stuff happened. You went away, came back again. So if I think back to when you came back again, was probably South America.
I missed editing. It was because I'd go away and obviously go on these rampages. And
rampages. What did you used to call them?
Frenzies, yeah. The frenzy.
When he'd come back, you'd be like, "Hey, Lyndon, it's Mikey. I'm really sorry. I've been on a frenzy. I've been on a frenzy, but it's okay. I'm okay, and I'm back."
Yeah.
And honestly, it happened so many times. You never knew whether to believe it or not. And it was.
But it was the editing that always brought me. It was the one. It's the one thing that's, it might sound a bit weird, but it's the one thing that's been consistent in my life, that it's even when I was on the frenzies, I still managed to deliver a good level, and I think it was something that I was proud of, that I'd learnt myself. So it was the anchor, so even as lost as I would get, the editing and Races to Places brought me back, and
Yeah.
it's a cool thing.
And just to be open with the followers and stuff, you got paid proper for it.
Yeah,
like
proper.
if you
Yeah,
if you did it full time, you had a good salary.
Yeah.
So
more than happy with the money.
it was good, and massive thanks to Patreon subscribers, because it's the Patreon subscribers that contribute to the series that pay for
make it
Mikey.
happen.
I mean that makes it
does.
happen. It takes money. You know, you're not paying me money. You're paying money to the series to make more content, and without them, it wouldn't happen. So I'll get a little plug in here for Patreon. If you haven't subscribed on Patreon, it literally, you can put in, for example, $1 an episode. You know, $1 an episode. Over a month, it might be less than the price of a Costa coffee or Starbucks coffee. It's nothing. But collectively, when I have 500 subscribers, it makes a massive difference to the series. It means that we can do more, means that we can edit more, film more. It excites me to think about new projects because people are there supporting it. It's not just always coming out of my pocket. So I think that's really important. So thanks to everybody on Patreon. I'm going to put a link in the top corner. Check it out. And if you can spare $1 here and there, it would be massively welcome and appreciated from a series, because we're still editing Races to Places after 10 years. It's still going.
But yeah, I want to say I'm really grateful. Lyndon paid me properly.
And Adventure Spec too. At the beginning, Adventure Spec, the beginning Adventure Spec were paying for that, and they used it as a tool to advertise their product, which is smart. As time rolled on, we went our own ways, and I carried on with you, and have been doing it since then. So
I'm grateful to be able to sit. Sit and edit from my bedroom. My computer's there set up, and to be able to sit and do something that you love and get paid for it, it's a good feeling.
That's cool. Well, I'm glad that we found that for you.
Yeah.
So back to Races to Places, we get South America. I'm in South America, so I've done all the way across to Russia, down through Southeast Asia, all the way to Australia, New Zealand, North America, up into Alaska, back Canada, back through America, South America, Dakar Rally 2017, Dakar Rally 2018. And I'm in South America. Mikey comes back. We nailed some edits in South America. Really good. It was full gas. Mikey was on form. A few little wobbles here and there. Then we got onto Africa.
Yeah.
We got onto Africa. I mean, I talk about episodes. There's over 300 episodes and special features from Races to Places.
That's a lot.
Massive. Yeah. I can't believe it. Like 5-year world trip, 10 years working together. 300 episodes out on YouTube. It's a lot. It's a lot of stuff. I mean, people ask me, which episode's that in? I have no idea. Like, I have to go look myself. And I actually only watched Races to Places from start to finish in full one time, and that was in COVID. Was it? Because I wanted to show Camilla, my wife, and daughter Aaliyah, Races to Places, so we watched it all, and actually I really enjoyed it. And I can see how other people can connect with it. But it's an incredible accomplishment what we did.
The old Mac did some work, didn't he?
It's had some repairs though, hasn't it? He's always burning stuff out on it.
Still going strong.
We've talked about the process. So I'm in Africa, I'm doing Africa. Seems to be going okay. I get all the footage to you from Africa. We actually,
I must admit, I really loved editing Africa. The people, so friendly.
I got all the way through Africa. I got back to the UK after coming through Africa, back through Europe. I mean, arriving back in the UK that day after 5 years and 2 months on the road on the same bike. It was pretty awesome, and I invited Dario, Andy, two of the editors and videographers that have helped with the Dakar and stuff, and the Africa Eco Race project as well. You came along. I'm pretty sure you were high on that day, though.
I was absolutely slaughtered, to be honest.
Because I was pretty disappointed.
Yeah, I'm sorry about that.
No, but I was disappointed. It was like my day to arrive back in the UK, and Mikey was on a frenzy on that.
That's the worst. One of the worst things with addiction is you pick the worst times possible to get on it. So,
but I remember that day just thinking, Mikey's Mikey.
Yeah,
you've done what you've done. You've done some great stuff for me. You know, I was really sorry that you had this addiction, and I couldn't do anything about it other than be a friend and try to help you. I mean, the best I could.
I guess the way I weigh it up is I was always sober when I made the choice to take the drink or the drugs. So, you know, people say, yeah, you have no control over addiction. You have full control over it because I was sober when I took the stuff. So
you chose to do it.
I chose to do it. So I think that's one of the things I've learned as I've gone through. There was a time when I was like, oh, it's not my fault. And I lied. I blamed everyone. I blamed even the cat or anyone. It was their fault. They got me on it. The sausage dog got me on it. And I think where now I realise, you know, if you're overweight, you have a choice whether you eat or not. And if you've got drug addiction, you know. So I've learned a lot from the early days. So,
good.
So there you go.
So we get to Africa, get back.
Yeah.
We have all the seasons to edit. Lots of work for you.
Yeah.
You know, you are banging it out, doing work. You also had another job as well, but you kept both going. And then we finished the full editing of the series, which was up to season 14, episode 12.
Yeah.
And you said, what next? And I said, let's get some annual episodes done.
Yeah.
Let's get some annual features done. We could do like year 1, year 2, year 3 and show the evolution of Lyndon through those years. So we started editing those, and it was about two years into that process, 2 years worth of stuff. So we've done year 1 special feature, we're on year 2 special feature, and then Mikey goes on holiday again.
Yeah,
but
it was a long holiday.
A big holiday. Tell us about that holiday, because we are sitting here now over 2 years since, well, just over 18 months since that holiday began.
Yeah.
Can you tell it? I say holiday and I use it jokingly, but what happened?
It was a serious time in my life. So I had an office. I was living in Harrogate. I had an office because I was doing corporate work as well. So I was trying to... I was working a lot of hours really when I think back. So I was trying to do corporate work, trying to do Races to Places in this small office in the town centre. And as great as the guy was that rented me the thing, it was a really lonely experience. Like doing it now in my bedroom. You know, I go out, I go to the running club, I've got a lot of things on the go. And it was a weird feeling, but I'd also at that time I'd met a woman that I'd fallen head over heels in love with. I still, you know, even to this day I hope she's well and happy, but I adored her daughter. And I remember the first time someone said, do you want some cocaine? Do you want to try it? And, you know, they call it the devil's candy, and it definitely, out of all the drugs, you know, I've sampled a few, it's the worst. Crack cocaine and cocaine are the worst. So someone gave me some and I thought, what's the worst that can happen? And then, I tell you what, it was a hell of a story. So I had it and I could not leave it alone. I was blowing all the Races to Places money. I was blowing any money I could get my hands on.
You were asking me, I remember, you were asking for money up front, but not small amounts of money.
No, like big amounts.
And again, I was sceptical now because I knew what I knew a bit about you, and I knew what was happening, and I didn't want to fuel that thing. But you've got to, for me, I had to try and trust you, you know.
Yeah, it was a hard. Well, no one could trust me.
I couldn't.
What happened was nobody could trust me because I had dealers turning up to this office. They knew I was good for the money, so you know I was somehow, I don't know how, I was still managing to turn episodes over. Maybe because I was so wired, I don't know. But I could stay up all day, all night, drink whiskey, take drugs. So that it was going on, and it was getting progressively worse. And I think when I look back on how addiction gets you, I mean, I don't know if this will make sense to anyone, but I spent a lot of my 20s going swinging. So I'd go to swinging clubs and meet different women, and I didn't really have serious girlfriends. And then I fell in love with this woman, and how addiction worked me was the cocaine gave me some of that past, if that makes sense. So it would, in my brain, I could relive these old days of swinging, but without really going and doing it. So I was trying to hold down this, she was a stunning, beautiful woman, so gentle. And I had her, so I was trying to balance that with the drugs and getting the work done. And I was just going deeper and deeper down a rabbit hole. I couldn't get out. I was lying. I stole money off my parents, stole money off my friends, so no one trusted me. And I think some of the people that I've hurt through the addiction, they'll never forgive me. There's some people that it's been horrendous, and I think that's been the hardest thing, is you have to learn to think, okay, they'll never forgive me, and just move forward from it. So it progressively got worse and worse until the point when I was living with my partner at the time, and there was times when it was the best times of my life. I really enjoyed being with her. to then I was homeless for a while, so I was living in a tent.
I remember that.
Yeah, I think I've got some footage of that. So I was living in
You'll
a
have
tent.
to put some footage
Yeah,
in if
yeah.
you've got
I think
it.
I've got some.
'Cause I
didn't
remember-
really want to keep it, but I think
I
it's on the
remember
drive.
you asking for a tent because someone stole it or something at once. And,
But do you know what? Even in the midst of the homelessness, I camped in a beautiful spot at Burt Crag through winter, and I had all the right sleep
I remember
bags.
in the snow.
That
You
was
sent me a
beautiful.
picture
It
in the
was
snow
beautiful. Yeah.
camping.
Yeah.
And it was his house.
Hi, my name's Mikey Lonsdale and I've been camping out in the forest roughly now for about 7 months since Christmas time. When I first got here, it was pretty cold, to be honest.
Yeah, I literally lived in a tent. I used Pure Gym. So I'd get up in the morning, go have my shower, get some breakfast, go to this office, edit videos, take a lot of drugs, drink,
Wow.
go home, do the same thing. Still go to the gym.
I had no idea, like,
No,
you was taking drugs, editing videos.
Yeah. I'd still, and then I'd go to the gym afterwards. So I don't know how. Back to the tent, and it just that went on for a while, and then from there I tried to get out of the tent. I thought I need to try and get back into normality, so I got an offer of a shared house, but the problem was this shared house, everyone in the shared house was on drugs. It's hard when you've got nothing.
Yeah. So you were trying to get out of that environment with people doing that, and you ended up in this environment
deeper,
again.
so
yeah.
And yeah, I was trying to get out of the addiction. Credit history wasn't good, so I just had to take the shared house, and I thought, looking back, I wish I'd have stayed in the tent, to be honest, and tried to do it that way. And I got in there, and I was still with my partner at the time, and she was so loving. No woman could have done more. She did everything to try and help me get out of the addiction. And then one day, I'm really ashamed to say, I ended up at a house. She lived in a flat, and all of the anger on myself, I vented it on her, and it's still hard to talk about it now, but I attacked her, and it was horrendous, when I just, everything, all of the anger of myself went on her. It was horrendous. So then from there, the police came. I'd also, in the midst of doing what I did to her, I ended up at my mum and dad's house. I'd punched the conservatory window through, and I was asking for £20. It was horrendous. It was bad. I was completely unhinged. So the police arrested me.
It's amazing what these drugs can do to you.
Yeah, they just ruin your life. I think from it being a lot of fun to then once it gets a hold of you, and one in 3 people will become an addict out of drug users. Yeah. So two of them will be recreational, and 1 in every 3 will become an addict. So from there, just a little backstory as well. I was desperate to get out of the addiction. I wasn't just, wallowing in my self-pity. I thought I need to be out of it. I went to AA.
I remember way
groups.
before this had happened, I remember you saying you was going to the...
I did a lot of
and
groups.
all the different groups and stuff.
Yeah, and I don't do any of it anymore. I just went down a different path, really. But so from there, the police arrested me and bailed me, and I said, please don't bail me, because I said I can't stop drinking. I was stealing from shops. I was just walking in shops, just taking bottles of whiskey, and I said, don't bail me. I can't stop drinking. So they said, we can't hold you any longer. And I thought, this is bad. I knew because I knew the minute I got out. It sounds really weak, but I
know that you knew you was going to do it.
I knew I was going to do it. Yeah, I knew I was so.
And you knew you didn't want to do it. No, you didn't need to do it.
No, my body was broken, and I was that low. And with what I'd done, I couldn't get over it. I couldn't get over that I'd hurt such a beautiful, gentle woman. It was I couldn't. And the real man, if I look back now, a true man's way would just be to man up. Okay, I've messed up, not drink and carry on. But I was weak when I look back at the time. I didn't have the tools. I didn't know how to deal with what was going on. So
I remember, just interrupting there, around this time, I remember you said you'd do something for me, and it didn't happen.
Yeah.
And then again, and it didn't happen. I spoke to you on the phone, and you were as high as a kite. And I remember I lost it. I just came to Harrogate. No, I came to Harrogate to meet you. And when I got there, you weren't there.
Yeah.
And that I hate it when you have an appointment and you arrive. I mean, I drove an hour to get there, and he wasn't there. And I was like, "Where are you? I'm coming to get you right now."
Yeah.
And then when I got you, you were as high as a kite, and I lost it completely. I took all the hard drives because I was worried what would happen to them.
Yeah.
I took everything
You did the right
at that
thing.
point. I took everything away, and then this stuff happened, and then
So from there, they bailed me again, and I just kept on drinking. I just got absolutely out of control, and I ended up at my ex-partner's work outside. I'd stolen a load of booze from the co-op. I had my top off. There was blood coming out of my eyes. I was in a mess, and I just thought I'm done. I've had enough. I can't stop myself. So I remember saying to the policeman, I want to go to prison. I've had enough. And he's like, well, you haven't really done anything yet. So I just thought, I'm just going to threaten to kill him. And I just thought, so I made threats to kill the policeman and did it with intent. And so he said, right, do you want to just get in the van? And I finished off the bottles that I was drinking. And then
in the police van?
No, outside. And then, I was embarrassed. But obviously the whole street was out, everyone was there.
Wow.
And so from there I went to prison. So they took me and...
Right. So this, when I talk about holiday...
Yeah.
Mikey has been in prison for how long?
Yeah. So in total I served 14 months.
Wow.
So it took a bit of time to get somewhere, because I did 3 months. To cut long story short, I did 3 months, came out, got straight on it. And I think the first 2 sentences, I did 3 sentences in a year. So the first 2 I just got through them. I just kept my head down.
Didn't really learn anything.
I didn't learn nothing. Yeah. No, I just didn't really. I didn't do a lot of fitness. Didn't do anything. And then I came out, because obviously the reason I was going back was I was trying to ring my ex-partner and trying to apologise, but deluded off my head. So I was putting the fear of God up her.
It's made it worse.
Yeah, it was me, and she didn't need that. She was trying to live a life. So then the third time, the judge said, he just said, I'm going to give you a proper sentence or something longer, and he gave me 14 months serve. You serve half in the UK, so serve 7. And he said, if you do it again, I'll impose the maximum, which is 5 years.
Wow.
So at this point, I thought I really need to change something. And you know what? It was fate. I landed in Hull. Prison's rough. There's rats running around the cells, and it's a horrendous experience. And I can remember going in for that third time, and that's when it hit me more than anything. And it's when the door locks. You're in like a holding cell with a room full of people, and your freedom's gone. And that's the most powerful thing. I don't know if anyone watching's ever been to prison, but when your freedom is gone and you have to wait for everyone to unlock a door, it's powerful. So from there, it was just a fate. I met a man called Martin Johnson, fantastic guy, and he was big into fitness, and that was when it started to change. So these people that I met were really into CrossFit and fitness. And so I just stuck with these people. I thought, I want out of this addiction. I change the way I'm operating. So I stuck with these good people. Ended up getting moved to a prison called Humber. Yeah. And Humber's a C cat, so Hull was a B cat. So you go down in the category, but it's still high security, it's still all that. And it was Humber where things really started to change. So I got a job where I was helping other prisoners read and write. And a lot of, probably in my early life, I struggled to deal with people that were angry. I didn't know how to deal with anger. And sometimes I'd just go and get drunk to get angry back at them. Yeah. So being able to sit in a cell with someone and teach them to read and write, and they're really frustrated, was a really therapeutic thing for me, because I just had to sit with some really crazy people, teach them reading and writing, and I got so much back from that. Just help. I just did it to help them, and I really was proud that I was helping them. So then from there came the best experience. I'd love to be able to put these photos on, but you can't, because there's other prisoners in the pictures, which is a shame. So there's a course in prison called PADS, Personal Achievement Development Scheme, and it's run by a guy called Steve, a Scottish guy, and he's an absolutely fantastic man. So him and an ex-Royal Marine called Jay, they are 2 tough men. They take prisoners, I think they took 20 on the course, and they put you through a full-blown army-style induction. And you've got a couple there's a lot of fit lads, like on the wing that I was on at this point, I had a single cell. So it was as good as prison gets, The beds are not great, but I was in my own little room, and the wing I was on was called November Wing, and there was so many super fit lads on this wing, driven people, And I met some of the nicest, most driven, most fantastic people in prison.
Yeah.
That wanted, the ones that wanted change. They would be sitting reading books all day, doing fitness, cooking food. You know,
because they realise change is within you.
It changes within, all from within.
If you want change, you've got to make it happen. Yeah. No one's going to do it for you.
And these guys, some of them had been some nasty pieces of work, and then they'd changed, and you still wouldn't mess with them now, but they were very loving, caring people. And so before I get onto the pads thing, I went through prison, and I just thought, I just stayed myself. You know, I was, you know, once the drugs wore off, there was boatloads of drugs in prison, and I'm proud to say I didn't touch any drug in prison.
That's crazy for me to think that there's
a
drugs in prison. When you told me that, I was like, wow, it's crazy.
Yeah, you can get access to a lot. So, but I was just kind, I was polite, and I was just friendly, and it got me through prison. I didn't get any trouble in there. I helped a lot of people. So this PADS course was where it all changed, and it was the toughest physical and mental thing I've ever been through in my life. And they just absolutely broke you down. You were carrying massive tired logs over prison walls, carrying each other, you know, like fireman's lifts, men on your shoulder. And then he'd say, right.
Did you have fun doing it?
Oh, I loved it. It was, and he'd say, right, the guy Steve was ruthless. You'd be crawling with a backpack on, and he'd put his foot on your back of your neck, and he was rough with you, you know, because they're prisoners, you can do what they want really with him. And then he'd say, right, ladies, you're going to flip a tractor tyre, and you're racing around one of the wings. So you're like flipping tractor tyres, your fingernails are falling off. And I can remember one day I got up and I said, my leg was hurting, and I've got to him, and I was like, put my water bottle down, and I said, Steve, you know, I've got a bit of a bad leg, and he just volleyed my water bottle off the wall, and he was like, he gave me some serious crap and told me to man up and get out there. But it was this that changed me, this really ruthless discipline of, okay, you'll do this, and I think when I was in the addiction bad, I just had no guidance, nothing, and in prison, because you get up at the same time every day, the door unlocks at the same time every day, the routine, and I thrived on it. It changed me, and I thought, this is what I want, I love this. So we went through PADS, and you know what, there's the finishing bit. Like I say, you've carried people, you've crawled through fields, it was unbelievable, the feelings of crawling. And I remember the sunrise in one morning, you look at the man next to you, he's broken, the man there's broken, mud everywhere, Steve screaming, and it was some of the best feelings, the exhilaration. It was better than any drugs I'd ever felt, this just bond with your fellow men. So the final thing is you carry these two logs called Lenny and Larry, and they're massive logs, and they've got 6 handles, proper trees, and you've got to carry them all around the prison and up and over things, and Steve's on your back hounding you, and this other Jay. And then the final bit, you go up this hill, and then you get to the top, and Steve, any man that's left, obviously a lot have dropped out along the way, and Steve was said, right, the ladies of you that are left, he's like, you've passed PADS. And I can remember massive, tough, nasty men, really nasty men. Every one of them was in tears. They were on their knees, and I've never seen such a humbling experience as that. And we all hugged each other, and I still keep in contact with a lot of them today. So that changed me. So from then, I still had a couple of months left at Humber, and I gave it my all. Do you know, I just helped as many men as I could read and write, just to help people. And I got really into CrossFit. So it was all, I've learned just having stuff against the clock, against yourself, is the best competition you can have, because it's only against you. So I really got into the CrossFit circuits. And then one of the best bits was near the end. It was Christmas time. I was released in February of this year. It's not that long ago. My mum started writing to me again, because obviously from what I did to my mum and dad, you know, it was really, they cut me off, they had to. And I got a couple of letters, and my mum said, look, I'm going to come and visit you. And I can remember seeing her, like, I was waiting in the big visits hall, and she was just sat there, and what's she like, my mum? She's awesome, lovely. So she was sat there, and I can remember I just burst into tears, and I was just hugging her, and it was all these things that sort of that started to make me see life differently and think, okay. And so then, to finish it from there, so my mum and my best friend Emma, my friends, give her a shout out. She's fantastic. She's
it was awesome. She's always been there.
She wrote to me every week in prison. Really? Every single week. Wow. I'll ask her if we can put a picture of her on, because she's cool.
Definitely, Emma. We should get you in there.
She's funny, and she's a character. She's very funny. So she wrote to me every week. So
Emma's the one actually I could speak to when you were AWOL,
to find out what was happening.
I'd be like, what's going on? Like, Lyndon.
So my mum and Emma picked me up, and I felt worlds apart.
Yeah.
And yeah, that was the journey really.
Right.
So
So-
it's leaving prisons. The one thing I'll say is since I've left prison, it's not been perfect. You know, I'm not going to lie. There's been a few slip ups, but I think when you have the tools to be able to not feel guilty, because in the old days guilt was fueling massive destruction.
Yeah.
So I think these days if I have a drink or something, I can think, okay, you know, I'm at home, I go to bed, I get up and crack on. Where the old days I just used to, with the disappointment that if I'd let my mum down, anyone, I went berserk. So I think the one thing is when you've come out of prison and you have that strict regime and discipline, that's been the hardest bit for me, is that when that isn't there, I have to instill that myself, and that always takes, to instill discipline and regime is hard, and so that's what I'm on with doing at the moment, is finding things that I find tough. I always find, if there's a guy called David Goggins, I don't know if anyone's ever heard of him before, but he was a lot of inspiration. I read his books in prison, and he always says if you put yourself in situations that suck, out of your comfort zone, you'll find yourself. And I'm sure in some of your bike races you've been well out of your comfort zone.
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned then, I remember you saying about all these super big, strong men were broken to tears, you know, after doing that. And Dakar 17 broke me into tears, you know, and I don't feel ashamed at all about showing that. I put it in my videos. And, you know, I got a few people, just a small number of people, majority of people understand it. They understand it. You put yourself through physical pain, destruction, like almost failing, you know, but you were there and you'd made it through. It seemed so emotional for me, yet people still said, oh, I can't believe you cried in that episode. Well, exactly. You know what? Those guys ain't got a clue. Like, so you've got to put yourself in those situations to learn from it. And I also see, like, when you said, you know, it's within you to make it. Like, when I was on Races to Places, I remember times when I was broken, when I was lonely, when I was unsure, when I felt unsafe, insecure. I had a problem that I couldn't overcome. Well, that's not true, you can always overcome it, but, you know, felt like I was overwhelmed. So many times I felt like giving up, and I never gave up, because for me, my drive was finishing Races to Places, riding around the world 5 years on my motorcycle and arriving back home, every continent, and I was going to do it. And in my mind, I'd already made the decision I was going to do it. Therefore, I was going to do it. Just like you said, make a decision to do something and be a different person, you will do it. I saw that on this PADS course. I saw that, do you know what, there's a few dropped out, and it's a shame that they dropped out, but you could see the fire in even men that weren't physically strong. There was one guy, he wasn't really fit, wasn't strong, but the fire in this guy was like he wasn't going to give in. And I think that's what I saw in PADS, was if you want something, and to see through, honestly, to do this course Monday to Friday. And when I finished, I was like, do you know what? And then Steve said at the end, I remember him saying to me, they called me Drainpipe, Sergeant Drainpipe, because I was tall. Sergeant Drainpipe, I'm going to start calling that.
So,
Mikey Sergeant Drainpipe Lonsdale, that's what this is going to be called, this podcast.
You could put it on. So in prison you just get called by his surname, so it was always Lonsdale or Drainpipe. But he said, what do you want from life? And I said, do you know what, the only thing I want is, of course you want a roof over your head, but all them things can be achieved if you just be I learned by being consistent and going to work, you can actually have a roof over your head quite easily. But for me, the one thing was to be proud of myself and who I was as a man. And from me being proud, my mum's proud, my best friend Emma's proud, and you're proud, so everyone becomes happy. And I think that's when I was lost with the drugs, no one was proud, people were ashamed to be seen with me, and I get that. I don't hold any grudge, you know. And
that's good.
I'd love to be able to, I think one of the, you know, from what I did to my ex-partner, it's a lifetime restraining order, so I'll never get the chance to say sorry, and that's been a hard thing. That's when I was sat in prison, I was like, I'm desperate, I need to say sorry. And now I've learned to just, as long as I don't go anywhere near her or cause her any stress, she can live her life and be happy. And that's. But it took some time. It took a lot of letting go of things. But prison, so I'm grateful. Really grateful of the experience. I wish I hadn't have done what I did, but what I learned in prison, the tools, the way to deal with people, the way to sort of get the best out of myself, push myself. I wouldn't have done it without prison. So
Right. Well,
I'm grateful of that experience.
thanks for sharing that story, because it's not easy. Not many people would share that story about what they did. So,
well, I think in the early days, I hid it all, you know, and you know, it's so sad what happened, and of course I've still got regrets. You know, I think if I'd have done this differently, I'd done that, none of it would happen. But the fact is, it did happen, and it was like, what am I going to do from there?
You mentioned something there about you know, like setting your mind to it. You can do it. One of the things that I really dislike to hear or read on my social media is when somebody says to me, oh, I could never do that. I never want to hear, I could never do that. What you should always do is look at ways that you can make it happen, you know. So, you know, I want to do that one day. I'm going to do that one day. Talk positively about things, you know, because honestly, like, negativity just builds negativity. You know, if you're talking yourself down all the time, you never will. But if you talk yourself in a positive way, you will make it happen.
I think that's, sorry to keep going on about prison, but I think when you're locked in the cell and in the early days and it's rough, Hull's rough, you're sharing with some crazy people. And I always thought you go one way or the other. You know, I thought I either take this place, use all of the darkness from the addiction to fuel. You know, you channel it into anger that works. To go, I'm going to get angry with the gym. I'm going to get this. I'm going to make it work. And you find you're capable of doing so much more. So I think it's true, isn't it? And it's only when you're out your comfort zone, isn't it, that you find yourself really.
Yeah. No, true. And you come out of prison and we managed to get back in touch pretty straight away. I saw you pop up somewhere on social media, probably on Emma's page or something.
I think Emma took a picture of it.
And oh, Mikey's back. Like, I didn't even know where you were. Like, I remember I tried to come visit you in prison, but you needed to say this person can come and visit me. But if you hadn't said that, they wouldn't say to you, hey, this person wants to come and visit you. So
it's a bit of a crazy.
It's crazy. So, like, I had the number, I knew where you were, I rang them, but I just couldn't get to visit you. It was quite a crazy time.
Procedure.
So I never got to see you in prison. I got to see you when you came out. You know, you said you'd love to have a go at editing again. I'd just finished Iceland. Actually, it was before Iceland.
Can I tell you a really good bit of the story? So obviously my best friend Emma, she's the best friend you could ever have in the world. And when I was living in the shared house, all of the editing, my Mac, or everything, all the monitors was in this room. Now these people knew I'd been arrested, that lived in the house, and they're the sort that would have kicked that door open and sold everything. But my best friend Emma said to her dad, get your van, Dad. We're going to where Mike used to live. She went down, she kicked the door open on this where I was living. She went, she got everything out, all of the stuff, all my computer. So if it wasn't for her, you know, all that my computer's built up with everything for Races to Places, you know, so without her, like, I wouldn't have been able to just come out and start.
Emma, if you're watching this, big thanks for saving Mikey's computer. Well, his life, really. I look now in your apartment, I mean, it's an editing suite.
Yeah, it's great.
That's what it is. It's a mini editing suite with a bed and a kitchen. Like, that's your life.
Yeah, I'm content. Small place, but I'm happy. So from there came out, and just Lyndon said, you wanted me to start.
Well, to be honest, you were always, you know, I was contemplating to get Dario to edit Iceland, but Dario's super busy with corporate stuff. Same old, he's busy doing his corporate stuff. I struggle to get edits from him in the pace that I need them for this, and you were in a place where you was working, building an Amazon place,
do you know, I just got into construction
site, construction again.
Went back to that.
I really wanted you to do the edit, but I didn't know whether you were in a place to do it, and so it was like, well, we can give it a go, you know, you got the footage and you got into it and you were like, I love it, and I just said, if you want to do it, and now you're doing it full time. I mean, at the moment you're full time on Iceland. I've seen the results. The Iceland edits are really good. Like, I actually have to kind of pinch myself and say, wow, you did a good job. You know, sometimes I'm like,
the filming was really good.
I thought I was being a bit of a slacker when I was in Iceland, but I look at the footage and I did a really good job. But I guess that's 5 years of travelling, just knowing what you need.
Maybe in the old days you had to think more, but it's become second nature, doesn't it?
Yeah. So
I've loved it.
So it's really good to have you back. Just to give people a bit of a heads up where we are. So we're into the middle of Iceland, basically. We're halfway through Iceland, so we've got 6 episodes done, really.
Yeah.
I'm going to release them shortly, so they're going to go out on Patreon first. So for everybody that's signed up on Patreon, you'll get to see those starting next week. Episode 1's going to go out. So this podcast might not be out by then, so it might already be out, but pretty soon. So when this podcast goes out, the first edit from Iceland will go out, and we've got a full season of Iceland coming, and it's
good. It's good. It's
pretty
been
cool.
an interesting. I think, like I say, for me, sifting through it all, and I try my best to use the majority of clips so people see what I'm seeing. But I love that the people are different. Everything's different again.
Yeah, it's an amazing
scenery's
place.
Unreal.
We won't spoil it for them, but there's a lot of stuff in there. Yeah. I loved seeing the seals. For me, the little seals, they were great. So it's been a journey. We've spent 10 years working together, and we've done an awful lot together. Although we spend a lot of time apart.
Yeah.
Like, think about it. Like, we were in a working relationship for pretty much 5 years while Aces to Places was happening. We never saw each other.
No.
But we kept the results really good. You know, we could probably be mentors for people struggling in long distance relationships. Mikey and Lyndon will come out and help you.
Lindale.
Counselling. Should set that business up. We had some fun along the way, but I have to say there was some real challenging times. I mean, it was really stressful for me. For everybody involved with Aces to Places, obviously it was difficult for you as well. And all I can say is that I'm happy to have you back, and you know, I hope you can get through it and get yourself back on the straight and narrow, because you're doing a good job now, and you know, you've got yourself a place, you know what to do for work, you've got this job, you know how to find other stuff. Most important things to be happy. You know?
Definitely, I think it's that, and it's I've seen what made me the best man I could possibly be, and it was extreme discipline, regime, routine, and so like I say, since coming out, you don't, and do you know what else as well I miss from prison? Obviously, I wouldn't want to go back there, but the camaraderie with the lads. You know, when I was on November Wing, which when you get there, it's not a holiday. People say it's a holiday camp in prison. You've got a small TV in your room and a kettle and stuff. But you're not living in absolute luxury. But for me, it's when the doors are getting unlocked in the morning, you've got 120 men. The jokes, the banter is unbelievable.
Really?
Yeah, you've got there was a guy on the wing, Big Rob, and he was a singer, so he'd be singing Elvis, and you know, some of them the memories I'll never forget. And it does make a part of you feel warm, you know.
He's telling me about the tape, though. If they get hold of some tape.
Yeah, if they get hold of some duct tape, some people get taped up, and there's some crazy stuff.
Tell us about your last day in prison. What they did.
So the last day, they take your clothes while you're having a shower, because it's just big communal showers, and
you didn't know this, right? Though.
No, I didn't have a clue. So obviously they took my clothes, hid them. So I was like, I knew then at this point, and my cell was quite far down, so I came out, and obviously there's women officers, everyone, and they're all whistling and cheering, and you know, I was just like waved and just went in my cell and got changed. So it's the humour that keeps it going. But so to go back to that, I've learned. I look for stuff now that's tough. So I go to CrossFit, I go running, I target stuff. And just do things that put me out of my comfort zone.
I can't believe you came running this morning. So I said last night, when you were filming this today, and I said to Mikey, I might go for a run in the morning if you want to join me. And he said, yeah. And I said, what's the earliest train you can get? And he's
5 to 6.
He said, like 5:50, I can be there at 6:30. And I was like, sweet, I'll pick it from the train station. I totally didn't think that he would do it. I thought it would be like, I'll get the 7 o'clock train, and then he was on the train. I had to go pick him up at 6:30. We went and did a 9k run together this morning, and then here we are sat in my mum and dad's living room filming this podcast.
To say something that I do differently these days is, if I say I'm doing something, I try and do it, and I stick to times, because when I was working in the office before, I was just like some days working all day, the next day not a lot. So these days I really get up, eat my breakfast at the same time, even though I'm my own boss, and I work set hours and like that, and I don't, you have a cup of tea or something like you would in an office, but I work them hours, I go to the gym at certain times, and that helps a lot, the routine.
Cool.
Yeah, I don't know,
Yeah, cool. So, from Aces to Places, first of all, what's your favourite bit about the process?
just I like the research in the country, you know, when we'll put a bit in and sort of speak about the country, and just it's just piecing it together to make the story flow. So just getting them clips and manipulating them in a way that
a challenge.
Yeah, that I think, do you know what, so it's like the jigsaw, isn't it? You can just throw the clips together, but I like to think, do you know what, that might not work, and I have to take some sound from somewhere else and really work it so that you think, do you know what, it looks good, and when I watch it back, I'm proud of it.
And me too, you know, I'm the same with the filming. I mean, I don't do the editing, but when I do the filming, I'm always, when I see your edit, I'm super proud of what I did, because it made
you can't edit without the video clips.
I couldn't make Races to Places what it is without you, and you couldn't make it without my footage, so it works really well together. And next, what is your most memorable bit that you've edited of Races to Places?
There's quite a few bits, isn't there?
Say them. Just say a few.
I liked Africa. I just loved everywhere you went, people were smiling.
Yeah.
You know, that was really good for me. So I liked that. I liked Malawi. I found that was really cool. But then I loved, you know, because I'll sit and when I was in prison, there was Blaze Channel. I don't know if anyone's watched it.
No, I haven't.
So I just sat and watched documentaries all day, every day.
Awesome.
So I loved stuff in Alaska. So I found anywhere where you went there interesting. I liked the BAM Road. So I want to go do the Trans-Siberia Railway one day.
Yeah.
So I really enjoyed that. Riding with Lucas.
We should do that together.
Yeah,
I've never done that.
I'd love to go on the Trans-Siberia Railway.
It's like 40 days or something from one day to the other. But you get to go through so many cool places and stop for an hour in each one.
Yeah, it's something I'd love to have a go at.
Should do it. Should film it.
Yeah.
It would be quite fun.
On a journey.
Journey on the Trans-Siberia Railway.
But I like this, just the way that you turn up, you mix with the people, then you have to find where you're going, find somewhere to camp.
For me, I think about people, you say about people there, one of the most touching moments
is the connections with people. So
one of the most touching moments for me was with that Himba tribe in
Africa.
Namibia, I think it was. When I was in the middle of nowhere and had a puncture, and I saw these Himba people, and the little kids, you know, they're wearing nothing, they're just running around having fun, blah blah blah. And then I arrived and I rode through their little village, and it's a village just built of mud huts, and like, they have nothing, you know. They don't speak the language. They have nothing. They see this big motorcycle, and I just wanted to experience their place, you know. Yeah. And so I kind of asked if I could go in. Obviously, they don't understand what I was saying, but I asked if I could go in, and I felt bad filming it because you're intruding into their life. But I really wanted to share with the fans what this is like, with the followers of Races to Places, what this part of the world is like. So I filmed it. Yeah. And I remember filming, and then I just came to this little mud hut, and there was gesturing that I come over like this, and I went over, and there was a mother and a newborn baby inside, and I nearly cried.
Right.
Like, I was like,
wow,
they've got nothing in a mud hut that's like no higher than this, you know, and she's just inside, like, and they don't wear any tops, the women, so she's just inside, topless, with this tiny little baby holding its head. And I looked and I was like, it looks like it's just been born, and I was like freaked out a bit. I was like,
they speak any English?
No,
nothing.
And I was just so blown away, and it's those moments, those touching moments, that changed me so much as a person. You know, all the experiences that I've had, from bad to good. You know,
so one thing I never really asked about was the shepherds in, was it Mongolia, when they invited you in, they're cooking your fish.
Oh yeah.
And you were using your little book. Was that a good experience?
Oh yeah. And I was waiting for Lucas, actually.
Yeah.
And it was thunder and lightning. It was terrible. The weather was so bad. And I saw smoke coming out of a little chimney, and I was just like, oh, I'll just go over and maybe I can go inside, it'll be warm in there.
Yeah.
And sure enough, they invited me in, but then they started cooking fresh fish, but the fish wasn't there. The guy was out on the lake catching the fish, so they're like, there was a suggestion, and my husband's coming back. I had no idea what they were saying. And I waited, and then he comes in with all this fish, and he's so delighted that somebody else in his house with his wife and kid, you know, like, and they cook this, it's just, it's amazing. And Lucas turns up and has it as well, and
it blows you away, doesn't it, the story?
It's unbelievable, and you have to put yourself in those situations to make them happen. I mean, if I didn't go travelling around the world, I wouldn't have had all the experiences that I had, and you know, like,
I've learned that if you don't go out and do something, you do get the same old results, don't you?
So I'm going to ask all the follow watchers of this podcast where they want me to go next on Races to Places, and I want you to put it in the description below. But I'm going to ask Mikey, where do you want me to go next on Races to Places?
Somewhere that's always special to me is obviously I watched all them documentaries in prison. I love South Georgia. I don't know if you South Georgia, all the penguins are. I don't know if you could ride there, but obviously there's all the elephant seals and stuff, and just Antarctica. I find it a cool place. Okay. But I don't know if you can ride down there.
Yeah, well, it's always, to be honest, it's the continent that I haven't done, and so it's always on my radar that I should get to Antarctica. Try to get to Antarctica somehow.
I'd love to see that.
So yeah, I mean, we'll see. I mean, I've been working with Husqvarna now for 2 years. I've been having a great experience working with them.
Do you know what I also thought would be good? I don't know if it would work at all, but obviously I know it's home is a cruise of England on Basil Bay course. Just go to some of the coolest, because England's got a lot of cool spots.
I got Basil out to film some product videos the other day, and
Scotland.
Just do some cool stuff around the UK. I could do it easily as well.
Just a full tour.
Yeah, do it in like 2 weeks.
Yeah,
just like enjoy
I think
a
that'd be pretty awesome.
That's a good idea. Yeah. What do you think, guys?
Yeah,
tour of the UK with
find the Loch Ness monster.
Yeah, get you to come up on the train and meet me and stuff.
It'd be cool.
Yeah, that's the next thing. Is would you want to come?
Of course. I'd love to go on a journey. I love an experience.
And there's so many times that I've wanted to include you, but the time hasn't been right because you've been on a frenzy or something like that.
I suppose we're back in them days. The frenzy was the paramount operation. So.
But you know, there's a lot of people, Emma, Dave from Adventure Spec, Dave and Chris, your parents, lots of people that have really tried to be there to help you in those times. But it's not easy. I mean, I kind of fortunately for me, I was away, so it was difficult for me to get involved. But the times that I were here and I did experience it, it's challenging. I
think
crazy.
Even there's this person I know, I don't really have a lot to do with anyone else that's struggling these days, but someone that I knew, their partner is struggling, and even from me that's experienced all of this, I was like, this is crazy, what's he doing? You know, why can't he just stop? But then I was like, when you're in it, it's impossible at times. It sounds really weak, but when it's got you, it's like what do they call addiction? Cunning, baffling and powerful. And I think the way it works you is crazy.
Incredible story.
That's one thing, is it's the people that are hurt, the amount of people that got involved, the mayhem, the carnage, because it was all mayhem at times.
But you've got to try and figure that out.
It doesn't have any leverage anymore. You know, now I can just I'm just like, okay, here's what I'm up to. But do you know what the best thing? You know, when everyone's trying to help you, I don't know if this might help anyone else, if anyone's struggling. When everyone's trying to help you, and you're letting you down and everyone else, that it's fueling more and more. And I think when prison just was like, no one spoke to me, I was cut off, and it was when I was on my own, and it's like, okay, are you going to do this now? And it was the power of just being alone. And they always say in addiction, don't be alone, don't be isolated. But I think sometimes you've got to go alone to find this sort of strength, really. And like I said, I'm still not perfect, but you get, as you go on over the years, you get the tools. And that's you get the tools in your life, and if you use these situations, you can grow and learn from them.
Exactly. Good.
Yeah.
Well, let's draw it to a close, but I just want to say, from a Races to Places point of view, it's been epic. It's been really epic.
It's been a journey.
I mean, we've got millions of views, hundreds of episodes. I feel like I've made friends all over the world from my world travels. But it was, for me, the reason for doing this podcast is it was a bit of a missing piece for a lot of people. They didn't really know who edited Races to Places. They knew of Mikey, but didn't know the story, and it was quite a personal story. And I asked Mikey, I'm actually flying out today, and I said to him, look, if we're going to do this podcast, we should get it done, but I want to ask you before I do it, are you okay to open up about it? And he said, there's no secrets from my side, I'll do it. So thanks, Mikey, it's been awesome. Couldn't have done it without you. Teamwork makes the dream work.
Teamwork makes the dream work. And thanks to your mum for the breakfast today.
We had a huge breakfast this morning at my mum and dad's house. It was ace. But I've got to jump back on a plane to Spain. I hope you like it, the podcast, everybody. And thanks, Mikey,
Yeah,
for
thanks
being
for
part of
getting
it.
involved from
And
the start.
let's get Iceland out.
Yeah.
I think people are looking forward to Iceland and getting it out there.
Yeah.
So.
Thank
Cool.
you. Thank you.
Right, that's it. I got back to Spain. I've got work to do down in Spain. Mikey can get back to editing. What are we on? Season
now,
6. Get back to editing season 6, and I'm sure I'll have a voiceover to do for as not season 6, episode 6, and I'll have another voiceover to do in the next days, I'm sure.
Yeah.
But we'll start releasing it soon.
With the duvet over you.
Yeah, exactly. I'd put the duvet over as the sound. We don't have a sound studio, so wherever I am, even in the hotel, it's duvet over the head. Get back to work, and like I said, guys, please sign up on Patreon if you can help in any way, even if it's a few dollars. It makes all the difference to me, because it's an accumulative that makes it work. So thanks everybody, and we'll be back next time. And Mikey's going for the recline. You like that chair?
Yeah, it's brilliant, isn't it?
All right, cheers everyone.
Thank you.
See ya.